Lesson number 35. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 261 to 266. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب زدني علما. اللهم فقهنا في الدين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم لك الحمد كما هديتنا للإسلام وعلمتنا الحكمة والقرآن وصلوات الله وسلامه على خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله الطيبين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن اتبع القرآن فساقه وقاده إلى الجنة ولا تجعلنا ممن اتبع القرآن فزقها في خفاه إلى النار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار. I hope you all are keeping well. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always keeps you in his protection and always safeguard you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all the tawfiq to understand Quranic ayahs in the best of ways and bless you tawfiq to act upon the Holy Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your persistence on his way and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your efforts in his way. Ameen. Let's look at the previous ayahs where we had learnt about life and death. Now in these ayahs it's about how a human being who wants to live a happy life after death, wants Jannah, should live his life so that his good deeds don't go to waste, and he is aware of how to look after his good deeds, because it's easy to do a good deed but difficult to make sure it is not wasted, and it's very difficult to safeguard your good deeds. Today we are starting from ayah number 261 and ruku number 36. In ruku 36 and 37 we will learn about spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these two rukus we will be learning about the importance and the virtue of spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here the manners of spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be explained. If we act upon these manners, not only our life becomes full of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, but our hereafter also will be blessed. Today's lesson, our lesson number 35 today is from verse number 261 to 266. We will start with word-to-word translation, and after that the words will be explained according to the grammar, and then inshallah there will be tafseer. Let's look at the word-to-word translation from ayah number 261 to 266. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. مثل, example, الذين, of those who, ينفقون, they spend on others, أموالهم, their wealth, في, in, سبيلي, way or path, cause, Allah, of Allah. كمثل is like, example, حبة, of a grain, أنبتت, it or she grew, سبعة, 7, سنابل, of years. في is or in, kulli, each or all, sumbulatin, of year, mi'atu, 100, habba, of grain, wa, and Allahu, Allah, yudha'ifu, he increases, doubles, manifold, liman, for whom, yasha, he wills, wa, and Allahu, Allah, wasi'un, is infinitely vast, all embracing, alim, and one always all knower. الذين, those who, ينفقون, they spend on others, أموالهم, their wealth, في, in, سبيل, way or path, cause, Allah, of Allah, ثم, then, لا, do not, يتبعون, they follow or pursue, ما, whatever, أنفقوا, they spend on others, منا, as reminding favors, wa, and لا, nor, أذن, as harming or injuring, lahum, is for them, ajruhum, their wage, reward, inda, near, rabbihim, of their Rabb, sustainer, wa, and la, not, khawfun, a big fear, alayhim, is upon them, wa, and la, nor, whom, they, yahzanun, they will grieve. Qawlun, a word, ma'rufun, one approved, recognized, good, wa, and maghfiratun, a forgiveness, khayrun, are better, min, than, sadaqatin, a charity, yatba'uha, it follows, or it, adhan, injury, harm, wa, and Allahu, Allah, ghaniyun, is free of want, self, or all sufficient, halim, and always most forbearing, tolerant, lenient. Ya ayyuha, O you, alladhina, those who, amanu, they believed, la, do not, tubtilu, you all nullify, waste, render in vain. Sadaqatikum, your sadaqat, charities and alms, bil manni, by with the reminders of favors, wa and al adha, the harm, injury, kalladhi, like who, yunfiqu, he spends on others in the path of Allah, malahu, his wealth, ri'a, to be seen, show off, and nasi, of the people, mankind. Wa and la, does not, yu'minu, he believes, billahi, in or with Allah. Wa and al-yawmi, the day, al-akhirah, the last. فَمَثَلُهُ, so his example, كَمَثَلِ, is like example, safwanin, of a smooth, hard stone, alayhi, is upon it, turabun, some dust, فَأَصَابَهُ, then it reached it, wabilun, heavy rain, fatarakahu, so it left it, solda, bare, hard. La, do not, yaqdiruna, they have power, ability, capability, ala, upon, shay'in, anything, mimma, from what, kasabu, they earned. Wa and Allahu, Allah, la, does not, yahdi, he guides, al-qawma, the nation or people, al-kafirin, those who disbelieve, deny or hide the truth. Wa and mathalu, example, alladhina, of those who, yunfiquna, they spend on others for Allah, amwalahum, their wealth, ibtigha'a, to seek or seeking, maradati, of pleasures, approvals, Allah, wa tathbeetam, wa and tathbeetan, to strengthen, make firm, min, from, anfusihim, their selves or souls. Kamathali is like example, jannatin, of a garden, birabbawatin, on or with an elevated mound or high ground, aswabaha, it reached it, wabilun, a heavy rain, fa'atat, so it gave, produced, ukulaha, its fruit harvest, di'afain, double, twofold. In, then if, lam, did not, yusibha, it reaches it, wabilun, a heavy rain, fatal, then of dew, drizzle. Wa and Allahu, Allah, bima, with whatever, ta'amaluna, you all do, basir, is one always all seer. Yawaddu, does, yawaddu, he like, ahadukum, one of you all, and that, takuna, it or she is, becomes, lahu, for him, jannatun, a garden, min, from, nakhilin, date palms, wa and a'nabin, grapevines, tajri, it flows, min, from, tahtiha, under or beneath it, al-anharu, the rivers, lahu, is for him, fiha, in it, min, from, kulli, every, all, athamarat, the fruits. Wa and aswabahu, it reached him, al-kibaru, the old age. Wa and lahu, are for him, dhurriyatun, children, offspring. Du'afa'u, once weak or feeble, fa-aswabaha, so it reached it, isarun, a whirlwind, tornado, fihi, is in it, narun, a fire, fahtaraqat, so it burnt. Kadhalika, likewise or thus, yubayyinu, he makes clear, explicit, Allahu, Allah, lakum, for you all, al-ayati, the revealed verses, signs, la'allakum, so that you all, tatafakkarun, you all reflect, ponder or consider. Grammatical analysis. Now let's understand these words according to grammar. Mathalu, meaning example, the root word is mim, tha, lam. Alladhina, of those who, it is ism mawsool, jama muzakkar, masculine, plural, relative pronoun. Yunfiquna, they spend on others. Root word is noon, fa, qaf, it is fi'l mudari, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine, plural, present tense. The identification of fi'l mudari is that it starts from one of the letters from yatan, that is ya, ta, alif or noon, and here it starts with ya. From anfaqa, yunfiqu, the verbal noun masdar is infaq, which means to spend. Anfaqa is fi'l madi, past tense, and yunfiqu is fi'l mudari, present tense. Amwalahum, their wealths. Root word is mim, waw, lam. Amwal is mudaf, what is possessed, and its singular is mal or malun. And hum in the end is mudaf ilayh, possessor. And dhamir of jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural pronoun. Fi, in, it is harf jar preposition. Sabilillah, way, path, cause of Allah. Sabili is majroor, genitive noun. Majroor follows harf jar preposition and the last letter of a majroor word has a kasra under it. Sabili. And it's a mudaf, what is possessed. Allahi is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Kamathali habbatin. Kamathali is like example, habbatin of a grain. It is made up of ka, mathali and habbatin. Ka is harf jar preposition meaning is like or such as. Mathali means example. It is mudaf, what is possessed, and majroor, genitive noun. Habbatin, grain or root word is ha, ba. It is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Ambatat, it or she grew. Root word is noon, ba, ta. It is fi'l maadi, wahid, muannas, ghaib, third person feminine singular, past tense. From ambata, yumbitu, the verbal noun masdar is inbatan, that is to grow. Sab'a, 7, root word is seen, ba, ain. Sanabila, of years. Its root word is seen, noon, ba, lam. Fi is in, it is harf jar preposition. Kulli sumbulatin, each, all of year. Kulli is majroor, genitive noun, since it ends at a kasra and comes after a harf jar preposition. It is also mudaf, what is possessed. Sumbulatin is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Mi'atun is 100. Root word is mim, hamza, ya. Habbatin, a grain. Wallahu, and Allah, yudha'ifu, he increases, doubles, manifold. Root word is dad, ain, fa. It is fi'l mudari, wahid, muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, present tense. From da'afa yudha'ifu, the verbal noun masdar is mudafatun, which means to increase. Mudafatun is in the pattern of Bab-e-Mufaa'ala. Our Arabic grammar lesson this time is number 36 about Bab-e-Mufaa'ala. Link will be provided in the description box and related questions will be asked. Please watch it. Liman yasha, for whom he wills. Li is harf jar preposition. Man is ism mawsool, relative pronoun and majroor, genitive noun. Yasha'u is fi'l mudari, wahid, mudhakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, present tense. From sha'a yasha'u, the verbal noun masdar is mashi'atun, to want or will. Wallahi, and Allah, wasi'un alim, is infinitely vast, all embracing, and one always all knower. Wasi'un, the root word is waw, sin, ain. It is the pattern of fa'ilun and it is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is ism fa'il, active participle from verbal noun sa'atun. Alimun is in the pattern of fa'ilun and it is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a sigha of mubaligha, phrase of magnificence from verbal noun ilmun. Alladhina, those who, yunfiquna, they spend on others, amwalahum, their wealths, fi sabilillah, in the way, path, cause of Allah. All of these have been explained previously. Thumma, then it is harf atf conjunction. La yutbi'una, do not they follow or pursue. The root word is taba'ain. It is fi'l mudari, manfi, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural, negative, present tense. It is negative because of la, negative particle. From atba'a yutbi'u, the verbal noun masdar is ittiba'an, meaning is to follow. Ma anfaqu, whatever they spend on others. Ma is ism mawsool, relative pronoun. Anfaqu is fi'l madi, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural, past tense. Mannan is as reminding favors. Root word is mim, noon, known. It is a verbal noun, masdar. Wala and nor, adan, as harming, injuring. It means any harm that reaches the body or soul. Root word is hamza, zal, ya. Lahum is for them. Ajruhum, their wage, reward. Root word is hamza, jim, ra. Ujrat, wages or payment, is also from the same root. Ajru is mudaf, what is possessed. Inda, near, it is mudaf, what is possessed. Rabbihim, of their Rabb, sustainer. Rabbi is mudaf ilay, possessor, and him is dhamir, pronoun. Wala, and not. Khawfun, a big fear. Root word is kha, waw, fa, it is masdar, verbal noun. Alayhim is upon them. Ala is harf jar, preposition. Him is dhamir, pronoun. Wala, and not. Hum, they. Yahzanun, they will grieve. Root word is hazanun. It is fi'l mudari, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural present tense. From hazina yahzanu, the verbal noun masdar is huznun, that is to grieve. Qawlun, a word. Root word is qaf, waw, lam. It is mawsoof, described noun and masdar verbal noun. Ma'rufun, one, approved, recognized, good. Root word is ain, ra, fa. It is fifth adjective. From the verbal noun masdar irfanun, it is ism maf'ul, wahid, muzakkar, masculine, singular, passive particle. Wa maghfiratun, and a forgiveness. Root word is ghain, fa, ra. Ghafara means to hide. It is a masdar verbal noun. Khayrun, are better. Root word is kha, ya, ra. Min sadaqatin, than a charity. Sadaqatin is majroor, genitive noun, because of the preposition min. Yatba'uha, it follows her. Yatba'u is fi'l mudari, wahid, muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. From tabi'a yatba'u, the verbal noun masdar is taba'an, that is to follow. Ha in the end is dhamir of wahid muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular pronoun. Adan, injury, harm. Wallah, and Allah. Ghaniyun is free of want, self, all sufficient. Root word is ghain, noon, yeah. It is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Halimun, and always most forbearing, tolerant, lenient. The root word is ha, lam, mim. Halimun is in the pattern of fa'ilun. From verbal noun hilmun, it is the sigha of sift mushabbah, resembling particle. Ya ayyuhalladhina, O you, those who. Ya is harf nida, calling particle, and after ya, alladhina, which is munada, what is called, is starting with al, and it's a masculine noun. Therefore, due to being muzakkar, masculine, ya will be followed by ayyuha. Amanu, they believed. It is fi'l madi, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural, past tense. From amana yu'minu, the masdar verbal noun is imanan, that is to believe. La tubtilu, do not you all nullify, waste, render in vain. Root word is ba, ta, lam. It is fi'l nahi, jama muzakkar hadir, second person masculine plural prohibitive verb. From abtala yubtilu, the verbal noun masdar is ibtalun, that is to nullify. Ibtalun, that is to nullify. Sadaqatikum, your sadaqat, charities, alms. Root word is sad, dal, qaf. Sadaqat is mudaf, what is possessed, its singular is sadaqatin. Kum in the end is dhamir of jama muzakkar hadir, second person masculine plural pronoun, and it is also mudaf ilay, possessor. Bilmanna, by or with the reminders of favors. Root word is meen, noon, noon. Be in the beginning is harf jar, preposition. It has come as sabab, cause. Meaning will be by or with, that is with reminding favors or by reminding favors. Al-manni is majroor and masdar, genitive verbal noun, because of the preposition be. Wal adha, and the harm, injury. Kalladhi, like who. Ka is harf jar, preposition. Alladhi is majroor, genitive noun, and ism mawsul wahid, mudhakkar masculine singular relative pronoun. Yunfiqu, he spends on others in the path of Allah. It is fi'l mudari, wahid, mudhakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. Previously we saw yunfiquna and anfaqu. You can compare them with each other and see the difference. Malahu, his wealth. Mala is mudaf, what is possessed. Who is dhamir of wahid, mudhakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular pronoun. Ri'a, to be seen or show off. It is mudaf, what is possessed. Root word is ra, hamza, ya. It is a masdar, its past tense is ra'a, and the mudari present tense is yura'i. An-nasi, of the people, mankind. It is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Wala, and does not. Yu'minu, he believes. It is fi'l mudari, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, present tense. Billahi, in or with Allah. Bi is harf-jar, preposition. Wal yawmi, and the day. Al-akhiri, the last, both starting with al, therefore both are ism ma'rifa, proper nouns. فَمَثَلُهُ, so his example. Fa is harf atf, conjunction. Masaluhu is mudaf, what is possessed, and hu is damir or pronoun. Kamathali is like example. Safwanin, of a smooth hard stone. Root word is sawd, fa, waw. When the last letter has tanween under it, kasratain, fathatain or dammatain, then it is ism nakira, common noun. Alayhi is upon it. Ala is harf-jar, preposition, and he is damir, pronoun. Turabun, some dust. Root word is ta, ra, ba. It is ism nakira, common noun. فَأَصَابَهُ, then it reached it. Root word is sawd, waw, ba. Fa is harf atf, conjunction. Asaba is fi'l madi, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, past tense. From asaba yusibu, the verbal noun masdar is isabatun, which means to reach or to rain. Wabilun, heavy rain. Root word is waw, ba, lam. Fatarakahu, so it or left it. Root word is ta, ra, kaf. Fa is harf atf, conjunction. Taraka is fi'l madi, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, past tense. From taraka yatruku, the verbal noun masdar is tarkun, that is to leave or to abandon. Who is damir or pronoun. Soldan is bare or hard. Root word is sawd, lam, dal. La yaqdiruna, do not have, they have power or ability, capability. The root word is khaf, dal, ra. It is fi'l mudari, manfi, jama, muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural, negative present tense, because of la, negative particle in the beginning. From qadara yaqdiru, the verbal noun masdar is qudratun, that is to have ability or power. Ala shay'in, upon anything. Mimma, from what? It is made up of mim and min and ma. Min is harf-jar, preposition, and ma is mausul, relative pronoun. Kasabu, they earned. Root word is kaf, sin, ba. It is fi'l madi, jama, muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural, past tense. From kasaba yaksibu, the verbal noun masdar is kasban or kasab, that is to earn. Wallahu, and Allah, la yahdi, does not, he guides. It is fi'l mudari, manfi, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, negative present tense. From hada yahdi, the verbal noun masdar is hidayatun, that is to guide. Al-qawm al-kafirin, the nation, people, those who disbelieve, deny, hide the truth. The root word is kaf, wa, ra. It is murakkab tawsifi, adjective phrase. Al-qawma is mawsuf, described noun. Al-kafirina is fifth adjective. It is ism fa'il, jama, muzakkar, masculine plural, doer from verbal noun, that is masdar kufran. Its singular is kafir or al-kafiru. وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ, an example of those who يُنْفِقُونَ, they spend on others for Allah, أَمْوَالَهُمْ, their wealth. All of these were explained earlier. إِبْتِغَاءَ, to seek or seeking. The root word is ba, ghain, ya. It is a masdar, verbal noun. From إِبْتِغَاءَ يَبْتَغِيءُ, the verbal noun masdar is إِبْتِغَاءٌ, that is to seek something. Mardatillah, the pleasures or approvals of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Root word is ra, dad, waw. It is masdar, mim, that is it's a verbal noun starting with mim. Watathbitan, and to strengthen, make firm. Root word is sa, ba, ta. It is a masdar, verbal noun. The root word is sa, ba, ta. It is a masdar, verbal noun. Min anfusihim, from their selves, souls. Min is harf-jar, preposition. Anfusi is majroor, genitive noun. Its singular is nafsun. Him is damir, pronoun. Kamathali is like example. Jannatim birabwatin. Jannatin is of a garden on or with an elevated mound, high ground. Jannatin is ism nakira, common noun. The root word for rabwatin is ra, ba, waw. B in the beginning is harf-jar, prepositions. Rabwatin is majroor, genitive noun, and ism nakira, common noun. أصابها, it reached it or her. وابل, a heavy rain. These were explained earlier. فآتت, so it gave or produced. ف is حرف عطف conjunction. آتت is فعل ماضي واحد مؤنث غائب third person feminine singular past tense. From أتى يؤتي, the verbal noun masdar is إيتاء, that is to give. Ukulaha, its fruit or harvest. Root word is hamza, kaf, lam. Ukula is mudaf, what is possessed. Ha is the damir of wahid muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular pronoun. Di'fain is double or twofold. The root word is dod, ain, fa. It is tasniya, dual of daifun. Di'fun, dual of di'fun, di'fain. فَإِلَّمْ, then if, did not. Fa is harf atf conjunction. In is shartiya or conditional particle. Yusibha, it reaches it or her. The root sod, waw, ba. It is fa'il mudare, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular, present tense. From asaba yusibu, the verbal noun masdar is isabatun, that is to reach or to rain. Ha is the mere pronoun. Wabilun, a heavy rain. Fatal, then a few dew or drizzle. Wallah is an Allah. Bima, with whatever. Ta'amaluna, you all do. Basir is one, always, all seer. Ayawaddu, does he like? Root word is waw, dal, dal. Alif in the beginning is hamza istifhamiya, interrogative hamza, and it means what? Ayawaddu is fa'il mudare, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. From wadda yawaddu, the verbal noun masdar is mawaddatun, that is to like. Ahadukum, one of you all. Root word is hamza, ha, dal. Hamza, ha, dal. Ahadu is mudaf, what is possessed, and kum is the mere pronoun. An takuna, that it or she is, be or becomes. An is masdariya nasiba, subordinating conjunction. Takuna is fa'il naqis, mudare wahid, muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular, deficient present tense. From kana yakunu, the verbal noun masdar is kaunan, that is to be. Lahu, for him. Jannatun, a garden. Min nakhilum, from date palms. Root word is noon, kha, lam. Its singular is nakhlatun. Wa a'nabin, and grape vines. Root word is ain, noon, ba. Its singular is ainabun. Tajri, it flows. Root word is jim, ra, ya. It is fa'il mudare wahid muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular present tense. From jara yajri, the verbal noun masdar is jiryanan, that is to flow. Min tahtiha, from under, beneath it or her. Root word is ta, ha, ta. It is majroor, genitive noun. Al-anhar, the rivers. Root word is noon, ha, ra. Its singular is nahrun. Lahu fiha is for him, in it, her. Min kulli, from every or all. Kulli is majroor, genitive noun, and mudaf, what is possessed because of the preposition min. Athamarat, of the fruits. Root word is tha, mim, ra. It is ism ma'arifa, proper noun, and its singular is thamaratun. وَأَصَابَهُ, and it reached him. Al-kibaru, the old age. Root word is kaf, ba, ra. It is isma masdar, root noun. وَلَهُ, and are for him. ذُرِّيَّةٌ, children, offspring. The root word is dal, ra, ra. Du'afa'u, once, weak, feeble. Root word is dad, ain, fa. Its singular is da'ifun. فأصابها, so it reached it or her. إعصار, a whirlwind, tornado. Root word is ain, صاد, ra. Its plural is عاصر. فيه is in it. في is harf jar, preposition. نار, a fire. It is اسم nakira, common noun. فاحترقت, so it or she burnt. Root word is ha, ra, qaf. Fa is harf atf conjunction. Ihtaraqat is fa'il madi wahid muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular past tense. From ihtaraqa yahtariqu, the verbal noun masdar is ihtiraqan, that is to burn. Kadhalika, likewise or thus. Ka is harf tashbih, particle of similitude, meaning is like. Dhalika is ism ishara wahid muzakkar, masculine singular demonstrative noun. Yubayyin Allah, he makes clear, explicit Allah. يبين is فعل مضارع واحد مذكر غائب third person masculine singular present tense. From بين يبين the verbal noun مصدر is تبيين that is to make clear. لكم for you all. لا is حرف جر preposition. كم is مجرور genitive noun and ضمير of جمع مذكر حاضر second person masculine plural pronoun. الآيات the revealed verses or signs singular is آية. لعلكم so that you all. لعل is حرف مشبه بالفعل particle resembling with كم is resembling verb. لعل is حرف مشبه بالفعل particle resembling verb and كم is ضمير or pronoun. تتفكرون you all reflect ponder consider. the root word is فا كاف را. it is فعل مضارع جمع مذكر حاضر second person masculine plural present tense. from تفكر يتفكروا the verbal noun مصدر is تفكرا that is to ponder. Let's listen to the recitation of today's verses.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون.
Tafseer. Now let us begin the Tafseer. Meaning and Tafseer of Surah Al-Baqarah verses 261 to 266. Tafseer of verse number 261. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. Translation. The parable of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is that of a grain that sprouts into 7 ears, each bearing 100 grains. Allah gives manifold increase to whom He wishes. Allah has boundless knowledge. Tafseer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders the Muslims to spend their time, money and their strength to raise the status of Islam. A materialist person can never understand the spirit of Deen Islam. They cannot reach the supreme objectives of the spirit of Islam because they are so busy earning money and they live or die for every penny. Let's see the meaning of infaq fi sabilillah. No matter how the wealth is spent, it is spent on personal needs, or they spend it on their children's welfare, or it may be spent on orphans and poor people, or it is spent on poor and disabled, or they are spending it on printing material of Deen Islam, or spent on the purpose of jihad. It might be spent with sincerity on the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to gain His pleasure, and is spent as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us. Then that money would be spent in Allah's way, meaning fi sabilillah. Then it is said, مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. The example of those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah is that of a grain that sprouts into 7 ears, each bearing 100 grains. Here it is said that the people who spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity, that is in jihad, helping someone for hajj or on hajj expenses, widows, orphans, poor relatives and people in need, to spend on these causes is like someone sowing a seed of wheat when it becomes a plant. Every wheat branch would have 7 stalks and every stalk would have 100 grains. Then every grain would become 700 grains when the crop is ready. This example is given to explain that if a person spends in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way with sincerity, if he has taqwa and goodwill, sense of sacrifice, and if his wealth is earned from halal sources, and if he has chosen the deserving person and given according to the sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then his reward would be 700% of his money, which he has given in charitable cause. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, it could be of the size of Uhud mountain. In Musnad Ahmad, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anh has said that every dirham spent in jihad and hajj gets the reward of 700 dirhams. Musnad Ahmad, hadith number 2388. From this ayah, we understand that the money spent in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way is spent with sincerity and not for show off, and after giving, do not make it as a favor. The money has been given according to the conditions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the reward for the charity would be equal to 700. If you spend 1 rupee, it would be equal to 700 rupees. There will be blessings in this money, and that person's example is like a person who sows the best quality seed of the wheat. Then it would become a plant, and every branch have 7 buds, and each bud has 100 grains. That's how there would be 700 grains in one branch of wheat. This example is used to explain that whoever will spend in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way with taqwa, sincerity, with the money earned from halal sources, and on whoever he spends this money also is a deserving person, and his way of spending would be according to sunnah, then the reward will be up to 700%. In hadith, one good deed's reward is equal to 10 rewards, but if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, it can be increased to 700% or could be equal to the Uhud mountain. In Musnad Ahmad, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anh has said that every dirham spent in jihad and hajj gets the reward of 700 dirhams. Musnad Ahmad, hadith 2388. It is possible when the excellent quality seed is used and the farmer is an expert in his job. The earth is prepared for the crop rightly. Farmer looks after the crop in sunny and rainy weather. Only then he would be able to get the crop which has 700 grains in every sheaf. In Bukhari, Kitab al-Zakah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only accepts halal wealth, and who can only afford one date from his halal money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes that date in his hand and nourishes it as someone would nourish their calf until that date becomes as big as Uhud mountain. At the end of this ayah, it is said, Wallahu yudha'ifu liman yasha' Wallahu wasi'un alim, and Allah multiplies the reward even more to whomever He wills, for Allah is all bountiful, all knowing. In this ayah, two of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes are mentioned. He is generous and He is very generous in giving rewards. He is capable of giving as much as will and according to the sincerity of the person who gave in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is alimun, meaning He is all-knowing. He subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who gave what and what was his intention for giving, how sincere he was in giving. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all-knowing, all-bountiful. Tafseer of verse number 262. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Translation: Those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah and do not follow their charity with reminders of their generosity or injure the feeling of the recipient shall get their reward from their Rabb. They shall have nothing to fear or to regret. Tafseer: In these ayahs, rules of infaq fi sabilillah and some conditions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's for infaq fi sabilillah have also been mentioned, so that the charity is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this dunya and in the hereafter, you get the bounties from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your infaq fi sabilillah. If care has not been taken for infaq fi sabilillah, then you would lose the money and would not qualify for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You might be committing a sin by not following the rules and conditions of infaq fi sabilillah. Sometimes people are impatient and not having complete knowledge about infaq fi sabilillah, fear of committing sin and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's displeasure. Firstly, in this ayah, it is said, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, the people who spend their wealth in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way. ثُمَّ لَا يُتْبِعُونَ مَا أَنْفَقُوا مَنًّا وَلَا أَذَى, and do not follow their charity with reminders of their generosity or hurtful words. For infaq fi sabilillah, the first condition is that after giving to a deserving person, then he would never reveal it to anyone to boast about it or mention it as a favor. The second condition is that they would not make that person feel disrespected or humiliated. They would not make them feel hurt or make them feel in distress. When you help someone, you should not hurt their self-respect. This is an act of big sin and crime. Like a Prophet Muhammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not talk to three kinds of people. Number 1, mannan, means to speak or boast of favors conferred. Number 2, people who wear their trousers below their ankles. And number 3, the one who swears to swell his faulty stuff. In Muslim Kitab al-Iman, the scholars say that for actions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that He subhanahu wa ta'ala would not look at people who did these above acts in this dunya. He subhanahu wa ta'ala would not look at them, would not talk to them, would not purify them. So these acts are included in kabira sins. Therefore, the person who is involved in these acts after he has helped someone, he is committing a kabira sin and his charity has gone to waste too. We would give charity like if we give with the right hand, our left hand should not know it. At the end of this ayah, it is said that after giving charity, we should refrain from speaking or boasting of favors conferred. If we refrain from these acts, then we would get two benefits. Lahum ajruhum inda rabbihim, meaning to give them a reward would be the responsibility of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, number one, our reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is confirmed. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. The person would be free of fear. They would not be sad. This is the second benefit. So they would not be sad or fearful that their reward would not go to waste because they did not hurt that person who was deserving to get charity, and they will not have any regrets giving their money to someone not deserving. He would not have any sadness or sorrow from the past, and he would not have fear or doubts for the future. In this dunya, he would be fearless of being left behind without dunya and his offspring. He is very safe and at ease at the time of his death. His spirit leaves his body like someone has opened the leather bag of water, and water flows out with ease. Same on the day of judgment, he would be free of fear and danger. Tafseer of verse number 263. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. Translation: kind words and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury. Allah is self-sufficient, forbearing. Tafseer: here another Islamic etiquette is explained. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى. Kind words and forgiveness are better than charity followed by distress. Here, قول معروف means to say good and something nice, well-wishing, soft and nicely spoken, that you say nice things with kind gestures. مغفرة means to cover, to hide, to forgive. Here it is said that if someone asks for something and you are unable to give them, then say kind words, which means قول معروف, to say no in a kind manner with a soft voice. And if the person insists you give him, you should move away, but do not say anything to hurt the person. It means it's better not to give them. It's better not to give than to give and then regret it and say something which will be hurtful. قول معروف means saying something nice and overlooking their persistence is better than giving and saying something which will be hurtful. Here it is said that to forgive and overlook is also a charity. In the end, here it is said, Wallahu ghaniyyun halim, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is generous and bountiful. He does not need anything. He is tolerant and forbearing. He is not in any need of our charity. Charity is for our benefit. Our reward is safe with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the person is free from sadness and fear. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. The heart is filled with calmness, composure, and peace of mind. All the woes and troubles will disappear. The reward of the charity you gave in this world would be more than you can imagine. Life would be full of wellness and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you look after your relatives for their needs, they will react with goodness and dua khair for you. The society would also become better and well off. Tafseer of verse number 264. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. Translation: O believers, do not make your charity worthless by reminders of your generosity or by injury to the recipient's feelings, like those who spend their wealth to be seen by people and believe neither in Allah nor in the last day. Their parable is like a hard, barren rock covered with a thin layer of soil. A heavy rain falls, leaving it just a bare stone. Such people will not gain any reward that they thought they had earned. Allah does not guide the disbelievers. Tafseer: In the last ayah, we learned the rewards for the people who do infaq fi sabilillah. Also, there was a mention of some conditions for infaq fi sabilillah. In this ayah, there is a mention of other types of people who do not do infaq fi sabilillah, but they do charity to show off their worth to others. They are a group of unfortunate and munafiqeen. Their charity is invalid. There is a warning for people in this ayah that you should not practice this way, as it would waste your charity and you would not get any reward at all, and you would be one from the group of unfortunate and from the munafiqeen. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى. O believers, do not waste your charity with reminders of your generosity or hurtful words. Here it is said that after giving someone charity, do not remind them about your generosity or remind them of your favor to them, and do not say hurtful things to them. This is not the way of believers. Rather, it's the way of munafiqeen, who spends for hypocrisy. That's why it's said, يُنْفِقُ مَالَهُ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Like those who donate their wealth just to show off and do not believe in Allah or on the day of judgment. He does not believe in getting the rewards in the hereafter. That's why they do not give to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They give to show off and act like hypocrites. The people who do charity to show off are hypocrites. Their example is like a plain field with no vegetation, a barren field. Therefore it said, فَمَثَلُهُ كَمَثَلِ صَفْوَانٍ عَلَيْهِ تُرَابٌ فَأَصَابَهُ وَابِلٌ فَتَرَكَهُ صَلْدًا. Their example is that of a hard, barren rock covered with a thin layer of soil hit by a strong rain, leaving it just a bare stone. It is being said here, if there is mud on the rock, something can be cultivated on it. For example, if a grain of wheat is added, it would grow. But if there is heavy rain, it washes away the soil, and whatever is grown there would also be swept away. Then this rock is not cultivable. In the same way, one hopes for the reward for the charity in the hereafter, but if it is accompanied by the defects of hypocrisy, show off, and reminding them of his favor, then this mistake would wash away your charity. Then you cannot hope for the rewards. In this example, rain refers to charity. The rock refers to the bad intention and wrong passion of the charity giver. A light layer of soil refers to the apparent form of virtue, under which is the hidden error of intention. So just as rain is not beneficial for that stone, likewise charity does not benefit the hypocrite. In the end, it is said, لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. Such people are unable to preserve the reward of their charity. Allah does not guide such disbelieving people. Here it is being said, someone who gives charity then mentions their favors to belittle them and harass them by hypocrisy, then the reward of their charity would be lost. It would not benefit him in this world or the hereafter, and when he reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will not get any reward. He will not have power over any of his actions. All of his good deeds would be lost and wasted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide such disbelieving people. One thing we should remember is that obligatory charity such as zakah, etc. should be given openly to encourage others to give, while non-obligatory charity should be given in secret so that no one feels embarrassed and would not have their self-respect damaged. Tafseer of verse number 265. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. Translation: The example of those who spend their wealth to seek the pleasure of Allah and to strengthen their souls is like a garden on a high and fertile ground. When heavy rain falls on it, it yields up twice its normal produce, and if no rain falls, even a light moisture is sufficient. Whatever you do is in the sight of Allah. Tafseer: وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ ابْتِغَاءَ مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم. Those people who spend their lives to please Allah and live their lives in the way of Allah to gain Allah's pleasure, that is, they spend their earning to prove the strength of their hearts, their example is like that of a garden. كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين. Its example is like a garden or on a hill in the best atmosphere that was hit by a downpour, and then the growth of fruits was doubled. Jannatun is a piece of earth which is covered with trees. This garden will have a fence all around and would be hidden behind this fence. فَإِن لَّمْ يُصِبْهَا وَابِلٌ فَطَلٌّ. If no heavy rain falls, a drizzle is sufficient. Same way, Rabwatin is a high place where rivers flow and the earth is a bit soft. Therefore, here is a mention of a garden which is located in such a place where the climate is very pleasant and favorable, that the garden bears more fruits than any other place on the earth when it rains, and even if there is no rain, it starts flourishing with a light spray or dew. Tafseer of verse number 266. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. Translation: Would any one of you like that his garden, which is full of palm trees, grapevines, and all kinds of fruits and watered by running streams, be blasted and consumed by fiery whirlwind at the time when he has become too old and his children are too feeble to earn anything? Thus Allah makes his revelations clear to you so that you may ponder over them. Tafseer: This is a second example of how the charity is wasted. Here it is said, like a tornado containing fire can destroy a lush green full of fruit gardens, the same way are showing off and hypocrisy and after giving charity, mentioning their favors can destroy all the rewards. أَيَوَدُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن تَكُونَ لَهُ جَنَّةٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ. Does any of you want to have palm trees and vineyards? تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات, in which rivers flow and all kinds of fruits are present. وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء, and that person has grown old and his children are still young. فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت, and then all of a sudden there's a tornado with the fire going out and it will burn that garden. In this example, it is being said that those who do charity to show off with hypocrisy, then after giving charity mention their favors, their reward will be lost in the same way, becomes null and void. That is, if a person is doing a lot for the hereafter by giving charity, but he is also violating the manners of giving charity that we have read, so on the day of resurrection, this stock of charity sent to the hereafter will be of no use. Just as this example of a man planted a garden in the world with all kinds of fruits, then he grew old, although his children were young and small, and his garden was burnt to ashes. If his garden was burnt when he was young, he would have hoped to plant a garden again. But if there were no children, perhaps even in his youth, he would not have the desire to plant a garden again. Because a single person does not worry much about his income, he can live even in poverty. And even if the garden was burned in old age and the children were young, it would be expected that the children would help him. Therefore, in such a case, he would not have suffered much from the loss of the burnt garden. But in such a situation, understand that everything was lost and ruined, that he had grown old and all his wealth and labor invested in the garden and his youth is gone. There was no money left to take care of the weak children. In the same way, the person who gave charity to show off and for hypocrisy, its example is as if he planted a garden in heaven. This garden of charity will give him countless rewards after his death. But after his death, he would not get his reward because of his wrong intention for charity. He lost all the reward for the charity and he was not able to go back to dunya so that he could do charity with sincerity. It's not possible now. He was like that rich old man whose garden and his wealth got burnt and he was not able to stop it and was only able to regret his actions. In the same way, the hypocrite who gives charity with the intention to show off and to boast about his charity will lose the reward in the hereafter, whereas at that time he was in much need of that reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tafseer of verse number 266. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. Translation: Would any one of you like that his garden, which is full of palm trees, grapevines, and all kinds of fruits and watered by running streams, be blasted and consumed by fiery whirlwind at the time when he has become too old and his children are too feeble to earn anything? Thus Allah makes his revelations clear to you so that you may ponder over them. Tafseer: This is a second example of how the charity is wasted. Here it is said, like a tornado containing fire can destroy a lush green full of fruit gardens, the same way are showing off and hypocrisy and after giving charity, mentioning their favors can destroy all the rewards. أَيَوَدُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن تَكُونَ لَهُ جَنَّةٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ. Does any of you want to have palm trees and vineyards? تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات, in which rivers flow and all kinds of fruits are present. وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء, and that person has grown old and his children are still young. فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت, and then all of a sudden there's a tornado with the fire going out and it will burn that garden. In this example, it is being said that those who do charity to show off with hypocrisy, then after giving charity mention their favors, their reward will be lost in the same way, becomes null and void. That is, if a person is doing a lot for the hereafter by giving charity, but he is also violating the manners of giving charity that we have read, so on the day of resurrection, this stock of charity sent to the hereafter will be of no use. Just as this example of a man planted a garden in the world with all kinds of fruits, then he grew old, although his children were young and small, and his garden was burnt to ashes. If his garden was burnt when he was young, he would have hoped to plant a garden again. But if there were no children, perhaps even in his youth, he would not have the desire to plant a garden again. Because a single person does not worry much about his income, he can live even in poverty. And even if the garden was burned in old age and the children were young, it would be expected that the children would help him. Therefore, in such a case, he would not have suffered much from the loss of the burnt garden. But in such a situation, understand that everything was lost and ruined, that he had grown old, and all his wealth and labor invested in the garden, and his youth is gone. There was no money left to take care of the weak children. In the same way, the person who gave charity to show off and for hypocrisy, its example is as if he planted a garden in heaven. This garden of charity will give him countless rewards after his death. But after his death, he would not get his reward because of his wrong intention for charity. He lost all the reward for the charity, and he was not able to go back to dunya so that he could do charity with sincerity. It's not possible now. He was like that rich old man whose garden and his wealth got burnt, and he was not able to stop it and was only able to regret his actions. In the same way, the hypocrite who gives charity with the intention to show off and to boast about his charity will lose the reward in the hereafter, whereas at that time he was in much need of that reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recap. Let's go over today's ayahs and recap what lessons we have learnt here. Ayah 261. We should do infaq fi sabilillah with sincerity and good intentions. Charity should be done secretly. Rather, if you give with the right hand, the left hand will not know. Infaq fi sabilillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the reward of infaq fi sabilillah according to the calculation of sincerity, passion and sense of sacrifice, and the reward for charity with the right intention is a lot more than we expect. Ayah number 262. One should pay particular attention to the manners and conditions of infaq fi sabilillah, otherwise the reward will be lost. So one should not boast over their favors, should not taunt, neither should despise after giving charity. The reward of charity is secured with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man becomes free from fear and sorrow in this world and in the hereafter. Ayah number 263. If we can't help someone, we should speak well and politely and softly. If the questioner asks insistently, then one should not get angry, one should not offend him, but one should deal with mercy and gentleness. We should deal with gentleness. Sadaqah and charity only benefit us in this world and the hereafter. Allah does not need it. He is rich and needless. Ayah number 264. We should not do infaq fi sabilillah for the sake of showing off and hypocrisy, nor should we boast about our favors after giving, otherwise the reward is wasted. Ayah number 265. We should give our wealth with the joy of our heart, satisfaction and willingness. We should give for the pleasure of Allah. It should be given in order to create strength and stability in the hearts. Similarly, if even a little is spent, Allah appreciates and gives countless rewards. Ayah number 266. One should take care of the manners and conditions of infaq fi sabilillah, otherwise the reward is lost. Homework. Please note down today's homework. Question number 1. Write down the translation, root words and singular plural from today's verses. Question number 2. Write down fi'l madi, past tense, fi'l mudari, present tense and verbal noun masdar for the following root words in Bab-e-Mufaa'ala. Number 1. Dad, Ain, Fa. Number 2. Jim, Ha, Dal. Number 3. Qaf, Ta, Lam. Number 4. Ha, Fa, Dha. Number 5. Ha, Sin, Ba. Number 5. Ba, Ra, Kaf. What is meant by spending fi sabilillah? Question number 3. What is meant by spending fi sabilillah from verse number 261? Question number 4. How much reward is gained for giving charity or sadaqah with pure intention, ikhlas? How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appreciate it? From verse 261. Question number 5. Which things cause the charity to be nullified? From verses 262, 263 and 264. Question number 6. What are the benefits of giving charity, doing sadaqah, according to verse 262? Question number 7. How should one behave with a questioner or seeker if they are not in a position to help? From verse 263. Question number 8. Which type of charity should be given openly and which should be hidden, between obligatory sadaqat and voluntary sadaqat? Verse number 264. Question number 9. What are the reasons for sadaqat to be wasted? Elaborate the example given in the verse. Verse number 264. Question number 10. Charity given for the sake of Allah is explained by an example. Please elaborate. Verse 265. Question number 11. An example of those who give for pretense and hypocrisy is given. Compare it with those who give with pure intention. From verse 266. Alhamdulillah, our tafsir of today's verses is completed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to learn and act according to it. Take care of yourselves. May Allah forgive all the mistakes that might have been done here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.